You need to be comfortable getting on that stage, taking on the mic, being in front of a camera, speaking in front of people, and proudly saying, here's what I've done, here's what I do to help people.
Stepping into your power. As part of our series around stepping into your extraordinary, one of the practical lessons we're going to learn is how to do that through your public speaking. Our guest today is going to share her tips around this very thing. When you are confidently stepping into your power, you walk into a room with a different energy. You command the stage that you're speaking from. Your body language and your tone have intention and energy that is going to come across to your listeners. Let's dive into this conversation with Celeste Leon as she gives us practical tools and guidance on how to speak with power while we are stepping into our extraordinary. Celeste Leon, so excited to have you. Welcome to the GS2 Factor podcast.
Hi, Misha. I'm so excited to be here. Such an honor and excited to have this conversation.
Celeste, share with our listeners a little bit about your story.
Absolutely. So a little about me right now. I currently live in Nashville. I've been here for a year and a half. I moved from New Jersey, where I lived I went to high school, I went to university. But before that, I was actually born in Peru. So something that definitely defines me is that I've moved around a lot throughout my life. Also, when I was a child, I lived in Canada. I've studied abroad in Europe. I really I'm passionate about different cultures, learning about people, and that definitely um, brings me to create communities and helping others and being uniquely qualified in a way of understanding the differences that people have and that they have different ways of learning as well and different ways of being and just bringing people together. That's something I really, really enjoy and do. Right now, earlier this year, I would say I left my corporate job. I started accounting, did the CPA route, and worked for a Fortune 500 company for about 5 years, where I started as an auditor and then moved to international consulting, got to travel, did a lot of sales training and presentations where I really got extensive experience in that end. And I was training people from different countries as well. And then that really sparked my jump this year from corporate to entrepreneurship full time, where now I'm a public speaking coach and I help people overcome their fear of public speaking or get more comfortable on stage, just go from average to great to extraordinary, depending where you are specifically in your own journey. And I am the founder of the Nashville Book and Sip Club, where it's a female book club where I bring women together every month to discuss a book of the month that we all vote on together. And it's just been such an amazing experience to do that here in Nashville. And now we're almost at 200 women in my book club with about 500 in my wait list.
Amazing. So many fun things that I want to dive into with you. We are talking a lot and focusing on stepping into your extraordinary. And I think what's amazing about that with what you do in helping entrepreneurs, speakers get that confidence to get out there. Let's talk about that. What are some of those fundamentals that you are helping your clients with as they are stepping into their extraordinary in the area of public speaking?
That's such a great question, Misha. And something that comes to me right now, because I just had this conversation this week, is really helping people step into their own light through public speaking and own their place. So I see a lot of leaders, most of the time, anybody who's creating a community, giving back in some type of way, is because they're driven by their people, right? They want to highlight others. They want to make it all about lifting each other up. And that's amazing, right? Like that is why they're meant to do that kind of work. However, what I help people with is they want to give everybody the light, but they're not okay with shining their own light. And I do a lot of mindset work also just around that in itself, with being like, I know that your purpose and your drive is to help others, but there's nothing wrong with standing tall in your own and giving the credit to yourself where it's due. And I like to give this example also for those who have children who may be listening is if your daughter did something extraordinary and she's helping other people, and we're very selfless, right? So we want to highlight everybody else. But when it's time for her to shine and talk about proudly her accomplishments and what she's done, she has to do it, right? Therefore, you need to do it for you. You need to be comfortable getting on that stage, taking on the mic, being in front of a camera, speaking in front of people, and proudly saying, here's what I've done, here's what I do to help people, with no shame at all, because you're doing a good thing. And I tell people, you should only be shameful when you're doing something wrong, when you're hurting others, when you're bringing them down. So if you're not doing that, you should be proud, because you doing it in the first place, as you say, stepping into your extraordinary, then also allows and opens the doors for others to do it as well.
I think that there has been this misconception, especially for us women, is that we have to be humble, we have to be timid, we have to be quieter. And that's one of those glass ceilings that I've always continued to break for myself, but as well as my daughter. I would imagine that you come across that as your coaching clients, and especially your female clients. How do we overcome as women this mindset, this thought, this external force that says we have to be quiet, we have to be humble?
Yes, that is such a huge stepping stone that we all need to overcome. I know even from my own corporate experience, seeing men don't struggle with this as much. Men are very comfortable saying, here's what I've done for this past year. I've checked all the boxes. While we women sometimes just want to be recognized and not tell them about what we've done. And it is a huge mindset shift. I think, how do you overcome that? One, surround yourself with women who are doing it. Sometimes it just takes us watching somebody else and realizing it's okay. It's okay to share. It's okay to step up and be outspoken. There's nothing wrong with that. On the other hand, you will only inspire others more to do it too. And the other thing is coaching, is going to conferences, uh, investing in your own education to understand what it takes to continuously go to that next level in your own leadership, in your own business, in your own journey. I would say that's truly how I've been able to overcome that, and surrounding yourself with people who are empowering, who are where you want to be. You need to take advice from them. Do not take advice from anybody who's just not doing anything bold in their lives, right?
So, when you think about the GSD factor life and the attributes of being confident, inquisitive, imaginative, being present, resilient, and influential, what is one of those attributes that comes up as you are coaching, as you are mentoring, as you are guiding your clients, as you are helping them step into their extraordinary in the area of public speaking?
That's a good one. I would say certainly the first one, the confidence section, because public speaking, right, is the art of what you're saying and how you say it and the communication aspect. But the other aspect is also body language. And what people don't realize, because when you're first public speaking, everyone gets nervous. Even the pro speakers still get a little bit nervous. That's okay. But oftentimes that reflects so much in someone's body language, and people don't realize that, right? So confidence through your own body language is something actually I do a lot of coaching on, and helping people have that powerful presence that sometimes speaks volumes. I don't know if you've heard about the 7-second rule, or around there, 10 seconds, depending what article you're reading. But they say that we have a first impression and make up our own ideas of what someone is like based on those first 7 to 10 seconds. Oftentimes, a lot of that has to do with your body language, how you're walking in, how you're speaking, how you're standing when you're speaking. So that confidence part, I would say, is helping people and coaching them through improving their own body language and understanding what they're communicating with it. and then making sure that then it aligns with their words, because that equals through authenticity. And it is a journey of helping people understand that if you don't believe in what you're doing, others may not. You need to be like your biggest supporter, your biggest believer in what you want to do. Your vision is your own gift, I believe, right? Anybody who's an entrepreneur, anybody who wants to make an impact, you were giving that drive, that idea, that something inside of you that's pushing to do this. And people along the way may doubt you. People along the way may not fully see the vision. That doesn't that you can't let that stop you. You need to continuously be your own cheerleader. So helping people with that through their words, and helping them, making sure that they're showcasing what they're doing in the best manner, effectively, and also aligning their body language to be confident and go for it.
I think the body language piece is something that often gets overlooked because I think in this very digital age, everybody, always head down looking at their phones. And I think that simple things of eye contact and smiling and where are your arms and where are your hands and how are you standing? And I think all of that really speaks. And I think, especially coming out of this kind of post-COVID time where we have been behind these cameras and behind this digital facade in some ways, I think it's such an important reminder. And I think that many times people forget that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're spot on. And I know you have experience speaking, Misha, and obviously with your book and the podcasting, that is one of the best ways to continuously practice your own public speaking in itself. So I know that you understand the value of that. And it makes me so happy to help my clients and see them transform and step into like their own power. It's truly a beautiful journey. And I definitely would encourage all your listeners to continuously invest in those skills that
Mhm.
sometimes can be deemed as soft skills, but they're so incredibly important in making relationships and making an impact and just accomplish the things that you want in life.
So let's pivot for a second and talk about Celeste as the entrepreneur and you stepping into your extraordinary. What are some of those lessons, good and bad? We love to have authentic conversations here. How is Celeste stepping into her extraordinary this year as an entrepreneur? And also, what attribute are you having to activate for yourself as a female founder?
Yeah, thank you for that. Um, so this year I've made the jump from corporate to entrepreneurship full time. And oh my goodness, it has been a wild ride. I feel like some months are wonderful, the opportunities are coming my way, and then some months are a bit slower. And it's just a building journey and really getting used to when you go from corporate, where you're so used to that consistent income and that comfortability and that safety, to let me embrace the madness of entrepreneurship. It's definitely, I would say, resiliency, the attribute that really I'm stepping into this year. My partner is also an entrepreneur, so that definitely helps. And continuously surrounding myself with people who are going through the same experiences to empower one another to keep pushing has been something very, very important for me to do during this time. And it's a trial and error, I would say, this journey. Correct me if I'm wrong and how you view it from your end as being a business owner yourself, but it's continuously about doing new things, testing if it works and if people are resonating with it, and then deciding from there.
One of my favorite scenes from Friends is the pivot scene with the couch going up the stairs. And I feel like that is the epitome of entrepreneurship. It's you have to pivot and you have to pivot a little more and you have to try and you have to fail fast and you have to fail forward and you got to pivot again. And being okay with that is the biggest mindset change that you have to make, is saying, okay, I have this idea, I want to try it, but being willing and prepared to be able to try something in a slightly different tweak or a slightly different pivot is so important.
Yes, yes. I love that. That's a good example from Friends. Um, and then another thing that sometimes I do struggle with from a female perspective will certainly be we do live in a man's world still. And I think people definitely continuously underestimate me for being a young female. Their questions and things. So just having that in the back of my mind, and then trying to sometimes fight through those stereotypes or unconscious bias or beliefs that people have, because I do have experience. I'm well educated. I believe in what I'm doing. I know I have direct impact on all the communities and people I've helped. So just pushing through that is really important. And that's why also I'm very passionate about coaching women to make sure that we become more assertive communicators, because we need to be. We need to be in this world for sure.
100%. I will, continue to shout it off from the rooftops because it's so important for us to get our voices out there, to amplify, to empower one another, to encourage one another. The life of entrepreneurship, it has good days, it has bad days, sometimes more bad days than not, but continuing to put yourself out there, continuing to activate that confidence and that resilience to continue to have that conversation each and every time. I would love your thoughts, Celeste, around someone that is maybe they're timid or shy or inexperienced in the speaking world. I think there's sometimes this myth of I see someone who's speaking very eloquently, who's speaking very fluidly. Oh, they just got on the stage and they just did it. But I think that there's a misconception that it takes time and it takes practice and it takes continuing putting yourself out there. And just like when we go to the gym, you can't just go and do a massive workout and be a healthier version of yourself. It's that consistency and just doing a little bit every day. So maybe talk to us about that as it relates to speaking and the importance of practicing.
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on. That's some of my best metaphors that I like to compare it to. Public speaking is a skill. In just like anything that you want to do for the first time in your life, is going to take practice and intentionality behind it at getting better. Let's say you're playing soccer for the first time. Somebody needs to teach you a little bit on, hey, how do we kick the ball? What is it like to do XYZ, right? To get better in that specific sport. Public speaking is just the same way. No, I do not expect anybody to be wonderful the first time. Even myself, I've been speaking since I started college, and I started putting myself through those courses and putting myself in front of audiences and getting better at comfortably sharing your message without as many filler words and just more confidently and slowly and surely. It takes time. And if someone's listening right now who wants to get better, I'll give you a couple tips really quickly to get started and be better at communicating. One is, when you have ideas in your mind, turn on your voice app and just speak it into the app. Share whatever is coming to you, that download, that idea, and just record yourself. Then wait 2 days and listen back to it. Did it make sense? Right? It's your idea. And this is just a closed space for you to reflect and listen. Ask yourself, whatever you were thinking that day, now listening it 2 days later, did it make sense? Or was there a better way you should have communicated that? And that in itself, just effectively sharing a message, is a practice where you need to reflect and look back. Oh, no. I should have explained it this way. I should have put this first. I should have put it after. You know what? I talked too much. There wasn't any need to talk too much, right? That's another big thing in audiences. You don't want to talk too much. If you can be efficient with your message and communicate it strongly, that's great. So that would be one tip. And the other tip would be to think about, when you're speaking, the energy that you're coming from and the intention that's coming from it. A lot of the things that we say also come from our tone. And our tone is also often directly related to the intention that we have. So when you're speaking, if you want to transfer love and peace and understanding, then your tone is going to match that. Because when we are communicating, not only are we sharing a message, but we transfer energy. So before you say a message, whether it is a conversation with your partner, a conversation with your friends, speaking in public, doing a podcast, speaking with your team, set an intention of what energy you're trying to transfer. Sometimes it could be, I want to be assertive right now and I want to be passionate. I want my message to get across. That's okay. It depends on the space and in the time and the context and the people that you're around with. So those two things. Start recording your voice, listen back. Does it make sense? Did it make sense what I just said? And two, set an intention before you speak to make sure that you're transferring the right energy to that other person.
Love those nuggets and tips. Thank you, Celeste. A great reminder for all of us. The tone and our intention is something that is forgotten. And it goes with our body language. I think people forget that we are a whole person. And so whether that's our tone, whether that's our body language, but also the words that are coming out of our mouth. To our listeners, Celeste's information is in our show notes. So reach out to her if you would like to learn more about the amazing coaching that she provides or her book club that goes on here in Nashville. Celeste, thank you so much for your time today and for sharing and helping all of us speak and step into our extraordinary a little more. Any other final thoughts for our listeners today?
Thank you, Misha. It has been such a pleasure to be here. And I want to remind everybody to use their difference to make a difference. We're not meant to all be the same. And that's something I remind myself all the time. I teach people continuously just by who I am, more about me. So don't be afraid to step into your own power and be different and use that as your own light to influence others.
And on that note, don't forget to get shit done. Thank you for listening to the GSD Factor podcast. I'm your host, Misha Blaymeyer-Farish. Be sure to connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram, as I love connecting with our listeners to hear how you are getting shit done in your personal and professional life. Be sure to visit our website at gsdfactor.com, where you can take a persona assessment that's going to help you figure out what type of GSDer you are. There's also a ton of resources and tools for both yourself and your tiny humans in your life. We appreciate you rating and subscribing our podcast episode today. And don't forget to get shit done.